He's the director of research at the Government Accountability Institute and the author of the book, and this makes a lot of sense to have my good friend Seamus on because his book is called Controligarchs, just like Klaus von Schwab is. Joining us now, Seamus Bruner, good old Irish boy, back on the program. Seamus, we know that his son has been out there already crisscrossing the states and other countries, sucking up to world leaders and Democrats, of course. Is it going to be the son? Is it going to be somebody else? Is he going to be like, Wizard of Oz guy pulling the strings from behind the scenes, but just won't have the title in case Trump gets elected and goes after the WEF? Like, why is he stepping down now of all times? That's what I want to know, and I bet you know.
Yeah, Dan, it's great to be with you. It's a good day in some respects that we don't have to see as much of Klaus Schwab's. He is slinking into the shadows. I will say that as recently as last year, all of the World Economic Forum insiders thought that he was going to die in office, that he would never relinquish control. He does, according to the World Economic Forum bylaws, choose his successor. So the successor will be handpicked by him. And so, I mean, it's interesting that he's leaving right at a time that the World Economic Forum is realizing that they have lost trust. I'm not sure why they had any trust from the public to begin with, but the theme of Davos this year was rebuilding trust. It appears they're trying to go a step further by having him step down. Still, that's not going to rebuild much trust.
Yeah, so this might be all orchestrated in that the world learned about his and other global elites' plan of the Great Reset during the COVID pandemic, and a lot of us went, to the WEF and the WHO, and so maybe they figure this is like rebranding, right? When a company screws up and they got to rebrand, we pull the dictator and put him in the wings, because what I read is he's still going to stay on like an emeritus leader, right? And then they'll just put up some false figurehead, which, again, he'll be pulling the strings. So he's still in charge, but we'll make all these young idiots who believe in a global takeover that are following the WEF and believing in this, like Justin Trudeau, they'll think, oh, we have new, younger leadership. But Klaus is still calling all the shots. Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, exactly. And everybody's talking about Klaus Schwab. Yeah, that's exactly right. But everybody's talking about Klaus Schwab stepping down. What very few people are talking about is the World Economic Forum's plan for the future. They say they are now in a period of transitioning where they're moving on from being just a country club, an annual convening event in Davos, Switzerland, where all the executives get to fly in on private jets and virtue signal about their concerns over climate change, which has obviously been ludicrous from the beginning.
Right, while they eat the caviar, the filet mignon, and have sex with all the hookers. Yep, go ahead.
Right, but what are they transitioning to? And this is the key. They want to be the leading global institution for public-private partnerships. And so it's like, what does all that word salad mean? Here's what it means. A public-private partnership is their method to, in Klaus Schwab's word, penetrate the cabinets, penetrate the governments of the countries. And so I'll give you some examples of what the World Economic Forum considers a public-private partnership. That would be the COVID pandemic response with the vaccine passports and the lockdowns and the mandates. Another example is banning gas-powered vehicles. And if the governments can't ban the vehicles, then they'll have the corporations start making electric vehicles, and eventually you just won't be able to buy a gas-powered vehicle. Education in the public schools, they've got all these big tech companies pushing social emotional learning, wokeism, trying to turn your kids trans, but they don't let the parents see what this software is. That's because it's proprietary. So that's the private side of the public-private partnership. Artificial intelligence, when it leads to job losses, they'll have the big tech companies come in to deliver some universal basic income from their massive profits. And so what it really is it is technocracy, it is fascism, corporate, crony capitalism, corporatism, pick your term. But this is how they get things done. They get the big tech censorship is a form of a public-private partnership. The government can't trample on the First Amendment, but Facebook can. And so that is what they mean by public-private partnerships. It means that the World Economic Forum is just getting started with their tyrannical plans.
Yeah, and you heard it in that first soundbite, or the last soundbite there of the montage we put together, where he literally said, we now have our WEF people, to use his word, and we know these sick puppies like to penetrate the cabinets of world leaders. Couple more things I wanted to point out. The WEF is actually the one that created the phrase Build Back Better. This was a concept they introduced during the COVID lockdown. So where do you think Joe Biden got that? And by the way, 12 states currently here at home are already following the WEF plan of banning all gas-owned vehicles and going electric by 2035. So the rules and what they want has already been implemented, and it's going to come to a state near you unless we get the right commander-in-chief, the right Senate, the right House with the purse strings to stop funding and adhering to anything the WEF or the WHO do or want us to do. Screw them in my book. Seamus Bruner, his book is called Controligarchs, talks about all these globalists and their plan to screw us over. I highly suggest you pick it up. Seamus, thank you, brother, for coming on and keeping it real. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Dan.
Yep.